Hey, this is Chuck Greene from Dead Rising. You keep watching Kyle Evans. This guy rocks. And don't forget to bring your Zombrex. Chuck Greene out.
It's Agent S. I'm ready for extraction. Yeah, I just have an old newspaper that needs to be taken out to the trash.
Alrighty, what is going on, everyone? So today I'm very excited to announce my guest is none other than the voice of Stacey Forsythe in Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. Ladies and gentlemen, Robyn Ross, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So how long have you been acting for? Not necessarily voice acting, but just sort of general acting.
Acting. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna give away my age if I tell you the truth.
Alright, you can lie about the dates.
Oh gosh, no, I really will give away my age. Oh, it's fine. Whatever. I'm just gonna be fine with it. I'm gonna be fine with my age. Over 4 decades.
Wow.
Nobody tell anybody.
All right.
Nobody report that on IMDb.
All right.
We're gonna be in big trouble then. Okay.
Was Dead Rising your first voice acting gig?
No. I did a few before that. It was like my first big video game. I had done a couple video games before that. But my first big voice acting gig was Mega Man. Mega Man was, back in the day, was it Nintendo? It was a Nintendo game.
Capcom.
It was?
Yeah.
It was Capcom?
Yeah.
Because Dead Rising was Capcom.
Yeah, I didn't put that together until now.
Well, this was actually not the video game, though. I didn't do the voice for the video game. I did the voice for the actual cartoon series.
Right.
That was all over North America. So I was Roll, which is Mega Man's sister. So I was the girl robot. And then for the first 3 seasons, I was literally every other female voice there was because I was the only female in the entire cast.
Wow.
And then all the usual suspects who are the most incredible voice actors that are in every single major, like Dragon Ball Z and like Transformers and every other cartoon were also actors on the show with me. So I kind of got introed into the world of voice acting by the best of the best of the best.
Wow.
Do you know I've been trying for years, literally auditioning for years to get on My Little Pony? That is all I want to do. It is like my dream. We're going to put it out there. I don't even know if they're still filming it. And I have never been able to land one part of My Little Pony.
Well, if there's any, casting directors watching this, then cast Robyn for My Little Pony. Do it.
This is my dream. I think my voice just sounds too old. That's the problem.
It's not, trust me.
Oh well.
And you can kind of pitch it up anyway, so it's fine.
I can. I can.
So, when you auditioned for Dead Rising 2, did you specifically audition for Stacey, or did you audition for sort of different characters?
Stacey, right from the beginning. They kind of knew what they wanted. They actually wanted everybody who was of different ethnicity to actually be played by a person of that ethnicity. So I would say they were kind of the forerunners because this was like, we auditioned 2 years before we even started filming it or tape recording it. So they were way ahead of the time on being on the right side of history and really making sure it was like diversely cast. So my friend Benita Ha always went out for her character, who was Rebecca Chang. And I had known Benita for years, and it was so cool, but we'd see each other in the audition room. I had known the casting director, who's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And he had told me that she had red hair. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna don, I have like 30 wigs. No criminal activity, I promise. It's just for fun. So I threw on my red wig and I wore like a Matrix jacket. And I remember that was my callback. And I just was like, I have nothing to lose. Let's just go in and have fun. And I know it's all voice, but for some reason, when you wear the things of the way you see and feel the character, it really brings it out in you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even if you're wearing baggy clothes, you kind of feel lazy. And if you wear a suit, you kind of feel more formal. So that's kind of just the mindset of it. So
yeah, when I play like a boss bitch, when I'm auditioning for something on TV or like a really high status character that's in charge, I always have to wear heels. I mean, you only see me in the audition from the waist up, but I'm wearing heels because that makes me feel like boss lady,
What was sort of the main thing that grabbed you when you were auditioning for Stacey? What was like one of her main characteristics that made you think, I want to play this character for this reason?
Oh, well, if anybody checks out my Insta account, you will see that it's really kind of never ever about me, because that still feels, for my generation, it feels like bragging. And then back in my day, you'd get the shit beat out of you if you were like to be one of those bragging people and be like, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. So I usually post a lot about politics and a lot about causes that I'm super interested in. As well as I'm now coaching young actors that are up and coming, and I post about them, but not me. And posting about causes all the time, you know, to the dismay of my agents and managers and such, because they're like, oh, don't get involved in politics. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm passionate about things. So when I saw that Stacey was passionately fighting for the rights of zombies, I'm like, I can completely relate. Like, she sees these people as like a group of people that wasn't their fault that they turned, and you know, she didn't like how people were treating them because they were still people, technically human, and she wanted to fight for their rights. So I was like, this is me for sure.
When you were recording for the games, did you record alongside the other actors, or was it sort of your own isolated booth?
No, mostly we did. We had like a room set up and with a camera recording us. And I guess it's funny because it was not mocap back then. I think now a lot of it would just be mocap. But back then they just kind of had a camera in the room, and we would be all these mics, kind of the way we do animation. We're all each at a mic looking at each other. And then at certain times they would give other people a break and we'd be in there by ourselves. But a lot of the action sequences we would be doing with each other. Right. And then when it was just they needed some wild lines, we would do it on our own. But it really helps to be acting off the others. I think that's why it has such a feel of cinema in it, as opposed to just lines that don't kind of connect. Yeah,
especially because you can kind of feed off the emotion of the other actors. Like if I don't know who I was talking to, but somebody was talking about the fact that if their line was just no, and it's like, what are they responding to? Is it a happy no? Is it a sort of argumentative no? Like, you sort of, it's good when you have that context of the argument or the context of the dialogue to feed off the other actors.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. It's like acting off green screen. It's so hard when they're holding like a stick with a ball on it, and you're going, no, stop! But when you're actually acting off of something, you can really... What I say, then your work is done for you, because if I'm listening to them and just reacting, I'm not thinking about how I have to act. If it's just me alone by myself, I'm conjuring up all these things and thoughts and feelings, and it's never as genuine.
Yeah. So how did they pitch Dead Rising 2 off the record for you? So how did they kind of explain their re-release of the game? Because it was very soon after the second one came out.
Oh, really? Good question. I don't know. I just remember it was a female writer, and we would have like a table read, which is like what you do in films. You sit down, all the actors together, and we'd read through the script. I knew Capcom was a big deal. Blue Castle Entertainment was a big deal. I knew it was coming out of Japan, but that's pretty much all. And I was excited. We went through this audition process for a really long time. It was like over periods of months.
Wow.
Yeah. From the time I started auditioning to the time I actually recorded it, it was over 2 years.
All right. Jeez.
And then by the time it came out, it was maybe another year or two. They work on these things for a long time.
How was it, like the difference between Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 2 off the record is the protagonist. How was it kind of feeding off the different actors but giving the same dialogue?
Because there was different actors in off the record.
Because you're in like sort of the same scene, but you're talking to a completely different actor and a completely different character.
Off the record, I was brought in separately.
Right.
I had no idea that I was now going to be the antagonist.
Really?
None. I walked and I was like, what? This is awesome. Oh, I love the badass leather and the badass short haircut. But I actually didn't even know what I was going to look like till it came out.
Right.
I just knew I just knew the lines I was giving. I thought I was still talking to Chuck. I wasn't?
You're talking to Frank in Off the Record.
Wow. Well, there you go. See, I never watched it. I just had to say my lines. But, it was fun. It was so much fun being evil.
Yeah, because in Dead Rising 2, she's kind of like the love interest with Chuck. And then in Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, it's kind of a what if the protagonist was different, and in that one you are sort of the twist villain, so...
Is Frank the guy from the photographer from
Yes.
the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, he would have been in LA, and that's why we recorded
Right.
separate. But I didn't know I was the love interest of Chuck.
Yeah.
What?
In Dead Rising 2.
What? I don't remember recording any love scene type stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the dialogue specifically, but like at the end she kind of becomes not Katie's stepmom, but kind of they kind of walk off into the sunset as like a happy family kind of thing, so...
Well, crazy that. Well, at least that happens in fantasy life. Cool. He had a lot of Vegas hookers around. Why would he like go off with Stacey? But like, cool. I'm happy about that. But he had opportunities of a lot of other girlfriends in Vegas.
So when you were recording for the games, was it animated first and then you had to kind of sync your dialogue to the animation, or did you do your recording first?
We did the dialogue, as far as I know, first. They might have had some of it. I don't know how it works. They might have worked out our mouth stuff after. But I feel like we did it first because it took a while for it to come out. I think what they did is they did all the I know when we would go into the Capcom offices, we would see hundreds of people working on it. It's incredible how many people they employ. And people would be working on the scenery, people would be working on shadows, people would be working on, oh yeah, it's crazy how realistic it is. All other aspects of the game. And I guess that what they can do is with the coding, they can piece it together. I'm talking totally out of my ass. But that makes sense. But no, and then we recorded. There was no prelay. Like, we didn't see the picture and then have to match our voice.
Right.
No. That's very rare. I mean, the only time that I've ever had to do that before was when, you know, something, say, was in Japan, in Japanese, and we had to put English to it.
Yeah, usually for... I'm not sure how it works with video games, but because anime is recorded in Japan first, and then when it comes to America or Canada or whatever, and then you have to match it up, it's because the show's kind of already been released, so it's not really the same concept with video games.
Yeah, and it's hard because there's a lot of syllables in Japanese language, and so try and make your two syllables look like it fits in a mouth. It's going really hard. But no, I think video games are far more picky about it looking more realistic, so I can see why. Like, now when they mocap you, they know how your mouth is moving.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at mocap or motion capture from early video games to now, and like the amount of dots over people's faces like tripled because they need to get all those details in.
It's crazy, like when they look and just like the slight variations of emotions in the eyes, it's like, wow. Well, they're not going to need us soon. Actors are going to become obsolete.
It's kind of looking that way with the amount of Marvel movies and Star Wars movies where they're just kind of putting somebody's face over the actor, and it's kind of... I'm not an actor, but I imagine it would be a little bit scary as an actor to have that.
Slightly.
I'm sure that it won't, sort of completely be obsolete for an actor to be in a movie, but it's kind of scary to think about.
Well, if AI is cheaper, I'm sure the producers will do whatever it takes to have that. Yeah. I don't know.
What were some of the sort of biggest differences between recording your voice acting for Mega Man to Dead Rising?
20 years? No, not 20. Technology had advanced incredibly. I mean, I look at the old... I have a picture if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So... This is Stacey in Off the Record and Stacey in Dead Rising 2. Yeah. And then these are the reincarnations of Roll from Mega Man. But I mean, look how detailed.
Yeah.
This is superhuman looking, and this is so two-dimensional, old cartoony looking.
Yeah.
Other than what they looked like, how we recorded and everything was pretty much the same.
Okay. Yeah.
That hasn't advanced or changed that much.
How sort of early into the making of Dead Rising Off the Record did you find out you were the twist villain? Was it sort of just at the start of recording, or like right when the twist happened?
Yeah, I didn't even know I was going to be doing another one, and then I just got a call out of the blue from my agent saying, "Oh, they want to record you for Dead Rising again," and I'm the idiot that I am. I'm like, "Oh, I thought that was released." okay, weird. So I actually thought I was going in to do re-recordings because, you know, sometimes you have to do reshoots in films when you have to go back and they didn't get what they wanted. But sometimes it's a year or a year and a half later. So I was like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, did you guys just decide to make her evil? And they said yes. And I said, oh, she's not fighting for zombie rights anymore. And they're like, no, because she did that in 2 and now this is for the extension. I was like, what's an extension? And so then they just said, well, it's something extra that someone can download if they want. I'm like, great. I have no idea what you're talking about, but awesome. And they're like, oh, and by the way, you're the evil villain. I was like, what? So it was like pretty, yeah, it was just sprung on me. But I mean, I was super excited. Super excited. It took me a while to realize how evil they actually wanted me. She seemed so genuine the whole time. And of course, I was acting it as genuine. I'm thinking, like, what in her would have made her cover up? Because she would have known by then, she was just doing that as a ploy to get people to trust her when she said she was fighting for Zombrex. So I had to kind of figure out something in my head that made sense to move her into that evil place.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, they are sort of 2 separate games. So you still have, like, there is still the version where she is genuine. So they didn't kind of completely throw that away.
Oh, well, that's the 2. Or is there also an extension where she's genuine?
No, in 2 she's genuine, and that's when she walks into the sunset with Chuck. So yeah, in a way, because they are sort of 2. They're sort of 2 separate games. They kind of go down the same story, but the ending is very different. So there is,
because when would she have ever gotten to know Frank if she knew Chuck? In reality, she wouldn't have been in both places.
Exactly.
Got you. Okay.
So it's
okay. Cool.
So they're 2 separate games where one she is a genuine person, one she is a the badass antagonist. So like you still get both stories. So it doesn't kind of negate when she was the protester. So.
You know what's so funny, though, is it's people I think really identify more with, or like, obviously, because I was such a biatch in the extension game, but I think people really identify with the first Stacey because I've seen her come up in many cosplay costumes that people have done. By the way, shout out to whoever's done Stacey Forsythe cosplay costumes because they do a really good job taking this animated character and making her look so real in the flesh. But no, I don't know of anyone that's done her as the badass character.
Well, if there's any cosplayers watching, then you know what to dress up next.
Yeah, except I could assume that full-on leather from head to toe outfit that she wears in the extension would be a little more expensive.
Yeah.
than her like green army pants and her like brown backpack or whatever, red backpack.
And it would also get very hot. So like I'm wearing this fake leather jacket and it's 25 degrees here, which is
that's the Chuck jacket. I was like, why do I recognize that? It's the Chuck jacket.
I was going to see if by the end of the interview if you had realized it or not. So I'm glad that you picked it up.
I gotta screenshot you because I'm gonna send it to Peter.
All right.
1 second.
Can you bully him into doing an interview with me?
I'll see what I can do.
We'll be like, I did an interview with Kyle Evans. It was the best interview I've ever done. He was so cool. You should totally do one. And just kind of guilt trip him.
You just gotta do it with Kyle just so you could listen to the accent for the hour. I could sell him on. He could perfect his Australian accent practice.
Exactly. I could be like his voice acting coach.
His voice coach. That's right.
I just looked up. Because it's, I think, 25 degrees here, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is really fucking hot.
Is it expensive?
Yes. I don't... Interesting story about the jacket. I think the website was usajackets.com. I don't remember how much it costs. I think something over $200, maybe $400. I don't know. And then after I bought it, I Googled, is the website a scam? And it said yes. And I was like, fuck, all right, that was not a good idea. Probably should have done my research beforehand. But the website that I bought it off was usajackets.com, and the website that was a scam was apparently usjackets.com. So I was like, okay, maybe it could go either way.
And it ended up coming?
Yeah, so then I got it, and it's like, yeah, it's good quality, it fits, I don't know, yeah, I'm not going to buy from them again just in case, but
that's the best though, when you're not expecting it and it just shows up, and plus it doesn't show up in doll size.
Yeah.
Is how many times have people like bought something and you get it and you're like, all right.
It turned out to be legit, but I still got scared too much to buy anything from it again, so.
And it taught you a valuable lesson.
Exactly, yeah. Definitely do research before buying something online. When you were recording for Dead Rising 2 off the record, did you re-record lines where you were sort of the good guy and you kind of had to play it differently, or was it sort of only the antagonist lines that you had to record?
As far as I remember, it was only the antagonist lines. That's why I was so confused.
Mm.
It took a lot of directing to get me that mean, because I really still couldn't understand how that was Stacey.
Right.
I don't think it was explained, and I think everything was so top secret that a lot of time you're on a need-to-know basis. So you might not get, I mean, the first time I remember getting the script. Second time I don't remember getting the script, because I think it was just very, they wanted to keep everything hush, hush, hush. So it's not just NDAs. It's like, I mean, I'm working on a show next week, acting like on it. And it's a very well-known show. Can't tell you what it is.
Damn it.
It's the NDA. But they didn't even give me the script.
Really?
I have no idea what's happening in the rest of the episode. They didn't put anybody's name on any of the sheets, so I don't know what other actors, other than the leads that are acting in it with me. And they only sent me sides, which are just the parts of the script that my character's in.
Right.
So it's kind of hard sometimes to do your research and to know what you need to know when you don't know anything else that's going on.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it gets with the internet these days. Everything is leaked. Right?
Exactly, yeah. You kind of have to, yeah, like you said, sort of everyone needs to be on different levels of a need-to-know basis, because if everyone knows everything, then that really risks it getting leaked and everyone finding out about sort of all the different spoilers and things like that.
Sometimes the studios themselves create their own leaks because it causes controversy,
right?
Which causes publicity, which causes it all. So they're like, damn, if somebody else were to cause a leak before we cause our own leak.
So I assume it's sort of on different levels for depending on what show and movie, but like, how is it sort of working on something that you can't tell somebody about? Like, and when do you find out what the show is or movie?
Generally, a lot of shows now work under project names, like Project Green Juice or Project whatever, and you don't know what the actual name will be. A lot of times, like for me, for this one, when I auditioned for it, they even changed the characters' names. So I'm doing a scene and I'm calling people different names, and then when I got the actual side sent to me, it actually showed me the real names of the character, and then I got told what project it was for. So that's kind of how it works. You're under strict NDA to not post anything of it, not even you on set with your costume, nothing. And then really until it's aired. But then like a couple days before airing, then at that point they want you to go off and promote the crap out of it.
Just to make up for all the lost time.
They even tell you what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say, how you're allowed to, when you're allowed to.
And it's really awkward kind of being an interviewer asking about like a movie or something, and they're like, oh, I can't answer that. And it's like, well, there goes all my questions. Like,
no, what are we going to talk about then?
Yeah.
I don't know. I did a great project. It was tons of fun. Loved the cast. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
There has been leaks that have gotten out and people have actually been threatened lawsuits. And I know a photographer who let something out. She's the photographer on the actual set that does all the still photos. And she saw that they had released one. So she released one on her website. And then there was a big mix up and it wasn't actually released publicly, the one she saw, but she thought it was. And then, so she's never worked for that network again. Like, it's no joke.
Shit. Do you keep auditioning for voice acting roles, or? My
physicality has prevented me from being able to pretty much audition for video games anymore.
Right.
Because I don't keep the mocap suits. I'm 5'4" on a good day. I might be 5'3.5", and the mocap suits start at 5'7". I still audition, yes, for cartoons.
Right.
And radio ads. I mean, I guess if they were like the little kind of filler-in voices, background character voices, but for the leads, you have to wear mocap suits.
Right.
So, yeah, I would love to do more video games. I love it. But unless I can find a way to extend my legs, it might not happen.
Just wear high heels. Simple.
You'd think, right? You'd think. I know.
Yeah, when are you going to play Dead Rising?
Yeah, well, I would need a console. I would need a TV. I would need I don't have any of that. You do need a TV, right? You could,
Yes.
or can you play it on your computer?
No, you need a TV. Oh, actually, yeah, you can play it on computer. So if you've got a laptop that works well enough, then
I would think PC, because PC, I would see more gamers using PCs than Macs, right?
yeah.
But I only have a Mac.
Oh, I think you can still use Mac.
Oh, no judgment.
What?
No You were like, oh.
Well, I don't have a Mac, so
I know how you're feeling. I buy all my technology used.
right.
I literally yesterday just switched to an iPhone 10. That is a used iPhone that somebody used for years, because I before this had a 6. Just yesterday. And this computer was a hand-me-down from a friend that I paid a little bit of money for. I can't justify buying these things when I know how they're being made.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Unless I was to make my own computer and learn how to do that one day, then I would feel okay about that. But
yeah, I've never made my own computer, because I know that whenever I try and even install a new software, it never works and I do it wrong, and then I never use the software because it gives me the shit. So,
bummer.
there you go. That's another Australian slang. What does it mean when something gives you the shits?
Gives you diarrhea.
No. It's
Because that's what we say when we say I have the shits. It means you're on the toilet for hours.
It's when something annoys you or something puts you in a shitty mood. It gives you the shits. So
Like diarrhea.
yeah.
So when they'll say, "Did he give you the shits?" I'm like, no, he wouldn't have that much of a biological effect on me. Or did that give you the shits? No, I don't think it was food poisoning. No, that helps.
Yeah. So if somebody says like, "Oh man, I just had the shits yesterday," you don't have to freak out. So
Don't come near me. I don't want to. Yeah. Okay, good. Good to know. That's a good one. You know, one of my most difficult accents to do is Australian. I really can't master it.
can you try it?
I can do South African better than Australian. No, I'm terrible. All I know how to do is go, "No,
What's that?
no."
What's that?
I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm saying no.
Ah, no.
No. No.
No.
How do you say no? No. See, it's terrible. But give me any regional American and I can do that.
What if I give you something to say and then you parrot it in an Australian accent?
Okay. Okay,
Well-
good. Go slow.
Even your, like, not this, but even your name is different in an Australian accent. So I want you to say your name in an Australian accent. Is that right?
Yep.
Robyn Ross.
Robyn Ross.
That was perfect.
Perfect. It was perfect. It was terrible. Because I could hear
No.
I could do it like you, but I didn't know where the R went wrong.
Robyn
Robyn
Ross.
Robyn Ross.
That is perfect.
Does that not sound British? Does that not sound British to you?
That sounds a bit British, yeah.
It sounds a
Robyn
bit
Ross. Well, I mean, the Australian accent is very similar to the British accent in some ways, so...
What one do I have to know? If I ever come to Australia, which one do I have to be aware of?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you want, like, a slang phrase, or do you want, like, an object that has a different name?
One that can screw me up if I don't know about it.
Right.
Is there one of those?
We do say the C word quite frequently, like, not...
Oh,
Like-
love that word.
Okay.
People are so offended by it here. Actually, if you look it up in the dictionary, it actually was a British word in the dictionary for topiary trees that were cut in a certain way. So, you know, when you'd go through those labyrinths of trees and like those, you know, palace grounds or whatever, those were called, can I say it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. If you want to swear, go for it. That's fine.
Called cunts. They were cunts. And so I have a feeling why they called them that is because when women started trimming down there, making all these like little shapes and fancy size, like, you know, cutting their pubic hair into topiaries, that's why it was called cunt. It makes sense, right?
I'll be honest, in a Dead Rising interview, didn't think we'd be talking about pubic hair cutting.
Topiary trees.
Yeah.
Right? Topiary trees. Ugh, great word. Anything that just has punch when you say it.
I don't really know how to link back to Dead Rising, because none of these questions have anything to do with Australian accents.
Just go for it. I'm not working on it, but a friend of mine is in the process of making a video game you guys all might know. Do you know a video game called Homeworld?
Oh, it sounds familiar. I'll look it up.
A good friend of mine is one of the directors and producers of it. And I watched a documentary he sent me. I can send it to you if you want to post it, if anybody wants to see this documentary on YouTube. And it's just incredible. He has musicians from all over the world composing music for this. And I listened to the music and I'm seeing the visuals, and it was literally giving me goosebumps. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is a video game. It's like a freaking movie. It's amazing.
Is it? It looks like space. That's my good description of it. Something like that.
It is space, yeah.
Is it surprising that I used to review movies on this channel as well, and my description of this was just, it looks like space?
It's a good description. It does take place in, I guess, when we destroy our planet and have to move to another planet. It's Homeworld 3, so... Sweet. And apparently the fans are the most excited for this one. They're going all out on this one, full stop, like crazy. I'm not sure when the first one came out, but you might have been really young when the first one came out.
When did it come out? I'll tell you how old I was.
September 28th, 1999.
Okay, I would have been about a month old.
That's why you didn't play it. Yeah. You got a lot of catching up to do. It's being created by a studio in Vancouver by a guy named Paul Rusquet. He is so incredible, like kind of directing all the music to come together. And literally he has musicians from the Middle East and musicians from Europe and everywhere coming and bringing different sounds, and the graphics just look would you call them graphics?
Yeah.
They just look amazing.
Sweet. So. I'll definitely check it out.
I don't know why the guy didn't give me a job on it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I
was gonna say
that with him after.
I was gonna say, you working on it? What's the deal?
I'm not working on Paul. If you're watching this, why am I not working on it? I don't know. Sometimes I'll get shows. I'm not gonna mention what, but if somebody IMDb'd, there was a show that I was on 4 episodes of.
Riverdale?
Of that. Oh. Now I can't say what I was going to say. I was going to say, you know, those are shows you do, and it's fun, and I was so happy to be on it. Very grateful. But you get paid good money, and then you go and do indie films that you get paid next to nothing, that you have so much pleasure and joy doing because you know the people making them. It's not about the money. It's about needing to tell a story and getting it out there and loving doing it. So I say that I always prefer to work on these projects. Like, it feeds my soul. So if somebody's like really passionate about something and, you know, wants to talk to me about collaborating, I'm super open to it. I just love working on passion projects.
Yeah. With those things, you can definitely feel the love for it more than a studio project. Not to say studios don't love what they make, but you can definitely feel it more in a smaller production.
Yeah, and as an actor, you appreciate getting any job you get when you get it. Trust me. And be not only in One Dead Rising, but be in 2. That was just such a winning a lottery, and I was so lucky and amazing. And the fact that people feel so passionately about it makes me love the fact that I did it even more. But also being part of things that people put their whole life, blood, sweat, and tears into. There's nothing else like that. I spend most of my time coaching, like I said, other young actors coming up on set, you know, in their 20s, or I have a few kids that are leads on TV series that I work with. I teach acting at a studio in Vancouver right now. I always say I didn't choose acting, it chose me, because if I chose it, I would have chosen something a lot smarter. I mean, it's not lucrative unless you're, do you know, in SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild, which is in the United States, out of all of their hundreds of thousands of members, only 1% make more than $9,000 a year.
Shit.
So in that 1%, of course, you have the actors like The Rock or whatever that are making millions. You only have less than 1% making more than 9,000. So it's not something you choose to actually have a profitable career. You choose it because you love it. You feel compelled to do it. I did a Nickelodeon show. Do you know what Nickelodeon is?
Yeah.
Okay, I did a Nickelodeon teen soap when I was like 18, 19, 20, and it was with Ryan Reynolds, actually.
Nice.
And
Are you still friends with Ryan Reynolds? Can you get him on the podcast?
Right, can I? Yeah, no, I can't. Yes, so there's this guy that was really into the show 15 back then, and
right.
So, you know, I did an interview with him, and he's been lovely. We've kind of like, you know, become friends now. He's around my age because he was watching it when we were doing it way back then.
Right.
But I mean, he's so passionate about him and his partner have a podcast about all things 90s Nickelodeon.
Oh, cool.
You're building something special, and you know, it's just, I love again when people are passionate about something and they just don't let anything stop them from doing it.
Yep.
Are there any Dead Rising characters in those things behind you?
They didn't make pop vinyls for Dead Rising. I don't know why. I really wish they would, because I would buy all of them. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got CDs of the soundtracks. So Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 2, and that's also Dead Rising 2, but it's, I think, different songs. And then, just the game, or one of the games, 2 of the movies, and then just a hardcover. So,
you know who I'm friends with?
Who?
Zach Lipovsky.
I know. I've messaged him on Instagram and he hasn't responded.
He's such a nice guy. Like I said, I was writing that play with my friend, and he took the time, because I do a lot of readings for him when he reads through like a new Netflix script or whatever.
Yeah.
He'll have a reading just to hear what he needs to fix and if it sounds good or doesn't sound good. So when I said, hey, would you mind coming to our play read and would you listen to it? He gave us, it was literally 4 hours of time. Wow. And gave me tons of feedback and was amazing. So he's a really good human. Did he do both movies or just one of them?
Just that one.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, why wasn't I in it? And he's like, there's no Stacey Forsythe.
There should be.
I know.
There's Frank West and there's Chuck Greene. Chuck Greene's only a small cameo in the second one, but yeah, there should be Stacey. There should be more of the original characters.
Yeah, but we're too old now. Like, don't forget, I'm my age and Stacey would be your age.
Yeah, that's fine. Just make up. And you also you said you're in the acting business for 40 decades. Jesus, 4 decades.
Yes, 40 decades. Anyways, I am supposed to go actually see my parents tonight, and so I need to go. But
you've also got to have dinner. It's like 8 p.m. and you haven't had dinner.
I'm starving. I'm starving. Yes. But anyways, it was such a pleasure to meet you, Kyle. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk Dead Rising and just everything.
No. You're in the afternoon right now. Yep. Well, you have a wonderful evening. Okay.
You too.
I'll see you soon. Bye, Kyle.
See ya.
Take care.
You too.